Name, title, name as the routine for speech competitions. I'm trying to be very careful about using the word contest. Speech competitions. Speaker number 1, Sharon Kenty. I'll never forget that day. I'll never forget that day, Sharon Kenty. And what?
It was a dark and stormy morning, a Monday morning, the kind of day when anything could happen, and it did. Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, have you had a day like this? A dismal, low, dark clouds that I had to duck, keep from conking my head. The clouds were so low, they almost underground. Nevertheless, I rolled out of my thick blanket of beds, out of the sheetmosphere, and rolled into the thick blanket of clouds. I was hungry. I was so hungry and anxious for breakfast and coffee, I could eat the whole toaster in the coffee machine. As low as the day started, dismally, without promise, it progressed even lower. Like overcooked oatmeal without sugar. Little did I know that the peace in my neighborhood in my house was about to be shattered. My nice, quiet neighborhood, it was in a cul-de-sac, very safe. Nothing ever happened. It was so safe we even left the back door unlocked. I thanked my lucky charms that we were safe. But the first indication of something that was amiss, as I walked down the steps, my little brother was already up. He never gets up this early. But my sugar pop was still asleep. Cheerio! I yelled and grabbed the coffee. I went for the coffee, and that's when I discovered the crime. What a way to start the day. Even before my first cup of coffee, I forgot about eating the toaster in the coffee pot. But imagine my dismay when I had realized and discovered that it had happened again. A crime wave. The same thing had hit recently in the neighborhood and in the next neighborhood over. It was happening again, that very same crime that happened in many houses in town. There's a pattern to these crimes. And now it had happened right here where I lived. It had hit home. The kitchen was the scene of the crime. Conclusive evidence was found scattered on the floor, in the trash, in the sink. It was a particularly gruesome death, crushed, then stuffed into a pit of acid. What made it even worse is that I knew the victim. Sweet, a little flaky. Who could have done this? My life would never be the same. One by one, I went through the possible perpetrators. An intruder? No. There's no sign of break-in. Besides, we never locked the back door anyway. My dad? Good old sugar pop? Nah, he wouldn't have left any evidence. Mom? Not possible. She's special, okay? Big sister? Nah, she was in a sleepover, not even there. That fruit was out of the loop. By process of elimination, it landed on my little brother. It finally came down to my little brother, Dean. He was the baby of the family, spoiled. He got away with a lot of mischief. always coming up with funny tricks. Perhaps this time he had gotten too far. He had gotten his kicks way too much, really. I narrowed down the suspects. It became clear, and I was certain who had done this dastardly deed. I'll never forget that fateful day when it changed my life. And I found out that my brother, my little brother, sweet innocent little brother, was a serial killer. Mr. Toastmaster.
Okay, thank you very much. And now we have our second speaker. We got lucky to get the number 3, but made her second. Judy Van Arsdale. One more reindeer. One more reindeer. Judy Van Arsdale.
Okay. Christmas is almost here. Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. We are all familiar with Santa's famous reindeers. They are celebrated in songs, books, movies, and TV specials. Familiar to us, their names are Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, Blitzen, and of course, the one at the front with his bright, shiny red nose. These reindeers are all Boy Scout-like and well-behaved. Why, take Blitzen. He's just a totally fabulous reindeer. And Donner, you don't get much better than Donner. He always behaves himself. And Blitzen, what a shining light among all the well-behaved reindeers. And Comet, he is one of the best you'll ever see, beloved by all his comrades. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you about one more reindeer. Unlike his angelic colleagues, what a nasty fellow this one is. Why, 2 years ago, he showed up drunk at Santa's Christmas Eve dress rehearsal after binging on reindeer ales. Santa got mad at him and almost kicked him out right there and then. But it being Christmas Eve, Santa took pity on him and stuck him at the end of the reindeers instead. At his last conference with Santa, he actually farted. And yesterday, standing at the end of a long table when Santa was trying to have a dress rehearsal, he is back there picking his nose, smoking, swallowing his beer, and burping loudly. On more than one occasions, he actually got thrown out of his reindeer Toastmaster club because of his nasty, disruptive behaviors. Ladies and gentlemen, his name is Rudolph. Mr. Toastmaster.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Thank you for that. We are halfway through it. Now we get on to our third tall tale. And our third tall tale, wait for your hearing me. Our third tall tale is being given by Richard Snyder. Pulled Over. Pulled Over, Richard Snyder.
How many of you have ever been pulled over by the police? Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, I bet my story beats all of yours. It started out rather innocently. I was on the freeway. I was behind a pickup truck. I noticed several long carpets sticking out the end of the pickup truck. The tailgate was down because the carpets were so long. I noticed also a rather large box on the end of the tailgate. I wanted to somehow notify the driver in front of me when it suddenly occurred to me I was in imminent danger if anything should happen and that box would come off the end of the pickup truck. And that's exactly what happened. The pickup truck hit a bump in the road and that box came flying back at me. As I was on my right, I swerved to my left. As I swerved to my left, I noticed I was coming close to the median. So I swerved back to my right and now became a deadly jaunt trying to get my car under control as I went back and forth and back and forth like I was on the sea. And finally, I got my car under control again. My heart beating a mile a minute when I saw it. Out of the rearview mirror, the police car with his lights on. And so I pulled over to the right and waited for the policeman. All right, you are all over the road. What have you been drinking? Officer, I haven't been drinking. Honest. A large box fell off the end of a pickup truck coming right at me. It was all I could do to swerve out of the way to miss the box. I've heard a lot of tall tales in my day, but your story is just crazy enough it might be true. Give me your license and I'll go back and check on your story. Well, I waited for what must have been 15 or 20 minutes before the officer finally returned. All right, your story checked out. I found the big box and there was debris scattered all around the freeway. Officer, are you writing a ticket? Yes, I am. You see, we found on closer inspection that the debris, there were tiny little nails, carpet tacks, all across the freeway. Officer, I had to swerve to miss the box, or there would have been a large accident. Tacks, nails, what difference does it make? I should get an accommodation, not a ticket. Why are you giving me a ticket? I'm citing you for tax evasion. Have a good day, sir, and don't forget to pay your taxes. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Richard. Okay, we have one more moment of fun for you all, and that is our speaker number 4. Dan McGill, Wonderful World, Dan McGill.
Thank you. A memorable day back in 1969. The world, it paused for a spectacular time. It seemed to be happening all too soon, but there he was, Neil Armstrong, walking on the moon. For the world, it was a day where nothing did lack. But for me as a Toastmaster, well, I had some feedback. Neil, I loved your stage presence. I couldn't be prouder. But we couldn't quite hear you. Try speaking much louder. Next time, could we have some eye contact, please? And was it just me? Or could anybody else smell cheese? Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests, I decided it was time to put my evaluation skills through some rigorous tests. March 2020, a world in decline. But not for us Toastmasters, we simply moved online. For ordinary folk, it was fire, pestilence, and doom. But not for us Toastmasters, we simply fired up our Zoom. And now I could visit any club on the earth. Rome, Riverside, Reykjavik. I even tried Perth. Hello, I'm Dan, a Toastmaster from the UK. I'd love to visit your club in Canada tonight. What do you say? Dan, great to meet you. Why on earth not? Actually, if you're up for it, there's an evaluation slot. Evaluating online. Yes, I was keen. I'll just tell them to speak up and use more of the screen. Your speaker is Jessie. It'll be an icebreaker. I've attached the objectives. Good luck. See you later. Well, I skimmed through the email. It was all pretty clear. An icebreaker about Neil Armstrong. I had nothing to fear. A Wonderful World was the title of the speech, about a man with big ideas, a man with great reach. I concocted a conclusion that was second to none. 6 hours till the meeting and my evaluation was done. It was midnight in London when I logged in for the meeting. Bedtime for me, but the Canadians, they were still eating. Can we welcome our new member, Jessie, to the virtual stage? Be careful, I thought. It's late and I'm tired. Stay on the right page. A round of applause for Jessie. That speech was a hit. What? She's finished? I must have dozed off. Oh, crikey. Oh, sugar. And now, as we only have one speaker on the bill, let's get right to the evaluation. Our special guest, Dan McGill. And there I was, a man who always avoids dramas, staring vacantly at the camera, pinned in my pajamas. I tried to keep calm, but their looks were so deadly. I needed some help. I needed Ralph Smedley. What a speech Jessie gave us, I uttered with fear. What did you all think? Help me out. Yep, there's a tear. Well, I'll get right to my recommendations. I don't want to be mean, but really, I have to say, Jessie, she could have used more of her screen. And then I saw it in the corner of my eye, a note in the chat. Does he realize Jessie is a guy? Okay, that was it. I had to end this confusion. It was time to escape. I still had my conclusion. This way may have been one small step for Jessie tonight, but it's one giant leap for her, his confidence. It's time for Jessie to take flight. I hoped that was the end of my tragic tall tale, but no, not quite yet. Time for just one more fail. The following morning, I woke up to a text, a message from Jessie. Thanks, your evaluation was the best. I loved how your conclusion took us all to the moon. My only complaint is that it ended too soon. A great evaluation, though it wasn't so long. But by the way, my speech, it was about Louis Armstrong. I pulled up the blankets and dejectedly curled. Ah, that makes more sense. What a wonderful world. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. And what a fun set of tall tales, which was what our goal is. There's a famous line from Ralph Smedley that says, you learn most in moments of enjoyment. And I think tall tales, both Connie and I think tall tales are fun and something that clubs should have once in a while to add that extra little spark of fun and entertainment and imagination stimulation. So maybe a few clubs will try that once in a while to add a little spice, a little bit of spice to their program.